A very friendly Tennessee Tech and Cookeville shout out to those of you that traveled great distance to join us tonight. And I need to offer some special thanks to Victor Klein and Char Wells, who are going to be bringing us cake and punch to enjoy later. And to already here, Elizabeth Owens from our campus bookstore. So in case you didn't bring your well-worn and deeply annotated copies of Traveling Mercies and Bird by Bird, you can pick one up for the book signing, which will immediately follow. While we eat cake, Anne will sign your books and greet you. I also want to give a big shout out to Susan Henry and Gary Bradford for making sure that the hall was reserved and ready. A thank you to the program that was earlier this evening, Kent Dollar and the Constitution Day event, for letting us share the bill in this fabulous double feature. And thank you most of all to Center Stage, events, staff, committee members, especially Kurt Eisen and Susan Maddox. And thank you to my students who were required to be here for class tonight. We'll be reading Traveling Mercies in American Literature and Bird by Bird in English 1010 this semester. So what words might I bring to introduce tonight's speaker, our best-selling author and warm-hearted teacher, Anne Lamott? I could find no operating instructions for preparing these remarks, and so I decided to take her advice and string this together like beads, giving you just a few words that I am desperate to communicate, that I typed on this page, keystroke by keystroke, bird by bird. Most of all, these words are not for you, but for our guest, to the person who came to see Anne Lamott, the fan letter that I never sent. Thank you for agreeing to speak for us tonight. Thank you for still giving readings and lectures when so many writers with a reputation and resume like yours would be happy to avoid the public spotlight. Thank you for having a Facebook page and a fan community where you do not just post a status, but a little mini essay, a new chapter hot off the press of your life. Thank you for your forthcoming book, for reminding us that the only prayers we really need are help, thanks, and wow. I want to practice that right now. I hope you will join me. Thank you, God, for Anne Lamott. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you for telling us aspiring writers that we don't get to publish books without first passing through the vortex of crappy first drafts. Some of our audience members tonight, myself included, make part of our living reading crappy first drafts, and we writing teachers like to write them too. So thank you for reminding us all that perfectionism is the voice of the oppressor, so that when we fail and fall, we fail and fall a little more gracefully thanks to your instructions on writing in life. Thank you for taking me on this little journey through these traveling mercies where I staggered with you from lily pad to lily pad, because you see, I am just a soggy froggy who needed to go to California, to drugs, to booze, to atheism, and even to what you call an altar of a patchwork god, sewn together from bits of rag and ribbon, Eastern and Western, pagan and Hebrew, everything but the kitchen sink and Jesus. Thank you for telling us about your 1980s hangovers and letting us hang out with you at that flea market where you wrote about the dust with all the dusty people and all the liveliness and clutter and color. Thank you for talking about the Presbyterians and the gospel music. Thank you for letting us into your little houseboat where your room was like that of a college student, very small. Thank you for showing us the private places of your heart when you got sober and when you met Jesus. We can get cleaned up nice and meet God again for the first time just by reading your books. So thank you for writing this story so we might weave it into our story, so that we might learn to forgive our friends and our enemies that kind of get on our nerves, like your enemy light got on your nerves. Thank you for those stories of hunger and thirst, of decadence, then abstinence. These stories that I feel compelled to read year after year out loud to my students, no matter how many times I make them watch me choke up and cry out loud in class. Annie Lamott, I've waited all these years as your reader and your fan to finally meet you and say thank you for telling the truth and writing about freedom. And through your honesty and your humility and your humor, thank you for giving all of us here in Cookeville encouragement and permission, if we have the guts, to go and do likewise. So Tennessee Tech, staff, students, faculty, Cookeville, friends and community and guests, will you please give us a very warm and rousing welcome to our guest, Anne Lamott.